Taylor Swift is a sublime poet, as well as a world-class performer. By comparing her feelings to things we can all understand and picture, she makes her experiences come alive in our minds like we're her friends and we're right there with her. One powerful tool she uses to do this is the simile. In this video, we're going to explore what similes are and why Taylor and other creatives use them. And I'm going to show you some of my favourite Swifty similes. At the end, you will have written your very own Taylor-inspired poem made up of emotive similes. But first, a quick glow up and simile number 1 to get us warmed up. Darling, I'm a nightmare dressed like a daydream. So, what is a simile? Similes compare one thing we don't know much about with something that is familiar and easy for us to imagine. They link ideas together with the words like or as. For example, that night, the moon shone like a mirror ball in the sky. Writers use them to make descriptions much more vivid and real for us. Painting pictures in your readers' minds makes your writing a million times more interesting and effective. A thoughtfully crafted simile can bring a tear to someone's eye or make them laugh out loud. Here's a sentence minus the simile. The curtain was too thin to block out the sun. It's clear, but here's the edited version with a simile to make it even clearer. The curtain was like a piece of toilet paper draped over a headlight. See, much more fun. Taylor's similes make her fans feel much more emotionally connected to her and help them to see the world through her eyes. In the song, The Tortured Poets Department, she sings, I scratch your head, you fall asleep, like a tattooed golden retriever. This one is believed to be about her tattooed ex-boyfriend, Matt Healy from the band, the 1975. And she's comparing him to a big friendly dog. I don't know anything about Matt, but I do adore golden retrievers, who are famous for being gentle and loving. This adorable simile lets us in on one of Taylor's fond memories of Matt. The relationship had its problems and eventually ended, but in that calm moment, they seem to have been content. No comparison could have made a tattooed man sound sweeter. Let's have a go at writing our own version of this line. This will form the first part of our poem. First, I need to choose a person in my life and an experience I've had with them to write about. I've chosen the time I said goodbye to my best friend when we knew we wouldn't see each other again for a year. She hugged me tightly, and neither one of us wanted to let go. Next, inspired by Matt Healy's tattoos, I'll think of her special characteristics. I've made a list of them to help me choose the best one. Her ocean blue eyes, soft blonde hair. She always smells like roses. Next, I want to think of an animal that's famous for clinging on for dear life, because that's what it felt like when we parted. Here's a list of some creatures that cling. Sloths, koalas, monkeys, squirrels. From my ideas, I want to choose the ones that illustrate the scene and emotions in the most appropriate way. So I've linked these together for my first line. I say goodbye, you cling to me like an ocean-eyed koala bear. From my list of animals that cling, I imagine koalas would give the softest, most comforting hugs. And that's why I chose to compare my friend to one in this simile. If you're enjoying this episode of Writecraft Kids so far, click like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In another gorgeous simile from the song Snow on the Beach, Swifty compares the feelings of falling in love with watching snow falling on the beach to illustrate a dreamlike fantasy which she calls weird but beautiful in her lyrics. She sings, are we falling like snow on the beach? Weird, but it was beautiful. This simile will inspire the second line of our poem. I want to make mine about the pure joy I felt with one of my friends when we laughed and danced in the sea under the stars one night. When I look back at that magical memory, it really felt like we were alone in the world and glowing with happiness. Take some time here to think of one of your favourite memories. Where were you? Who were you with? How did you feel? Pause and jot down your ideas using Swifties and mine to help you. Because I felt like my friend and I were glowing rather than Taylor's falling, I'm going to think of some things in the world that glow so I can compare my feelings to them. Here are my ideas: stars, fireflies, the moon, jellyfish, and bioluminescence. Because I want to give my poem a dreamy vibe, and I like the idea of using the same number of syllables as Taylor, I'm going to choose stars for this one. Now, where would it be strange for stars to be? In the same way you almost never see snow falling on the beach, stars are never on Earth or in the sea or anywhere except for out there in the universe. It would definitely be weird but beautiful to see them in the sea. Pause here. Choose what you would like to compare your action to and which extraordinary setting you'd like to place them in. Finally, we'll come up with our own weird but it was beautiful line. For me, the moment I'm writing about was short-lived and yet it will stay with me for a lifetime. So I'll finish my simile with brief but it was magical. I love how it fits the syllable pattern of Taylor's line and brings to life my memory in a way I hope helps you, my reader, understand what it meant to me. Pause here and finish your simile off with your own weird but it was magical line, with mine and Tay's for support. The next Swifty simile I'm going to workshop today comes from Midnight Rain. This poetic song is about a relationship in which Taylor and her ex-boyfriend wanted different things. Maybe he wanted to settle down and she wasn't ready for marriage and she wanted to focus on building her career. She sings, "He wanted a bride, I was making my own name." She writes in the song, "He stayed the same, all of me changed like midnight." This is a beautifully simple, powerful simile that brings to mind Cinderella for me. Everything changes at midnight. It's the start of a new day, bringing new opportunities with it. And just as everything changes as the clock strikes 12 a.m, Taylor changed and became 100% focused on self-growth. So, to write our own version, let's think of a time when something switched for us. A few years ago, I moved away from my home country to India. A huge change that transformed my life forever. Pause here and write down an idea which brought about a change in your life. It could be losing someone that you love, moving home, starting a new school, or becoming a pet owner. Next, think about how it changed you. Would you describe it as the end of something or the start of something? Leaving my home opened my eyes to things I never imagined were possible. For that reason, I can compare it to the rising of a hopeful new day. So I could write, "I flew above the clouds. It woke me up like sunrise." If it was something more painful like losing a relative, I might say, "It closed my eyes like darkness." Again, I'm sticking to Taylor's syllable pattern, but of course you don't have to do this in your poem. Finally, let's look at a simile we can all relate to. The song "You're on Your Own, Kid" is an example of Taylor's stunning talent for storytelling. We travel through her teenage years with her, through heartbreak, her unwavering passion for songwriting, an eventual realization that she's going to be successful and happy with only herself to rely on. In one line, she longs to be with a boy who isn't there for her, except for the fleeting duration of a phone call. She sings, "I touch my phone as if it's your face." I think we all know what it's like to miss somebody and wish they were there with us in person. A few months ago, my bestie and I were reading the same book about dogs at the same time. We would call each other to talk about each chapter. He lives in Australia and I'm in Thailand, so we hardly ever get to see each other in person. So I'm going to compare reading that book with actually being with him. I hold these words as if they're your hand. Think of something you have that reminds you of someone who can't always be with you. It could be a necklace from a grandmother, a scarf that still smells like someone special, or a photo of a place you love. Then think of something you might do to it to comfort yourself. Maybe I breathe your scent as if it's your hug. Pause here to write your own version. I'm proud of the short, simile-studded poem I've created today, totally inspired by Taylor's lyrics. Glowing like stars in the sea, brief, but it was magical. I say goodbye, you cling to me, like an ocean-eyed koala bear. I flew above the clouds. It woke me up like sunrise. I hold these words as if they're your hand. I'm pretty happy with that. It's emotive and describes my experiences and feelings in a way that helps you to imagine what they were like, thanks to all of those comparisons using similes. And with that, I'll leave you with a slide filled with tons more Swifty similes to feast your eyes on. Feel free to extend your poems inspired by these gems. Happy writing and see you next time.